as the title says, this is a live recording of a meditation on the death card in tarot, and it's not a meditation, like a guided meditation that I've done before, but this is really me meditating on it and exploring it as I know the card and as I navigate the relevance of it in this time and place. And I'm recording this in October of 2023, and it is a very interesting time. I think everyone's going through changes. It's my card. The death card is my card of this month, and I've been dreading it. As a tarot reader, I know that that's not always, like, death is rarely about real death, but it is about transformations and endings, because transformations are an inevitable part of endings, and you can't improve or change or move on to the next thing if you don't end something else. And I've been pulling other cards that sort of say that. I've been getting a lot of Six of Swords, which is about transitions. But at the heart of it, it is death. And at the heart of it, it is moving on to something new, which is scary because I feel like that newness is so new. And I don't know what to do other than process it the way we all process things, right? You can't do anything about it other than be present. So this, I'm losing the thread, aren't I? But this talk on the death card, I've pulled some cards, and I'm just going to let that dictate how the conversation flows. Let's get started and look at the main card about all of this, and that is death. And this deck that I'm using tonight is the Decolonized Tarot, which is a really beautiful deck, specifically highlighting Filipino culture. And as a Filipina, I had to get it. It was a Kickstarter project. And there were some delays, but everything works out the way it works out, which is the lesson, isn't it? If we look at this specific version of the death card, let's get this in the screen. She is holding a candle to her face, and she is showing us that life is an illusion, and that is something that we can learn from. Death is an illusion, life is an illusion, all of this is illusory, but that doesn't make it any less real, that doesn't make it any less painful. And when I talk about transitions that are going on right now, for some people that's their job, for some people that is their educational opportunities. It's career wholesale. It's not just one place to another. It's a full pivot. And for me, it's kind of the latter, as evidenced by this whole production, which, if I do say so myself, I'm pretty proud of, which is the other part of the lesson of the death card. You can't hold on to things too strongly, because when you hold on to things too strongly, you can't hold on to anything else, anything other than that. And moving on is really, it's a multi-tiered process, right? I also want to backtrack and say that death in terms of grief is not necessarily something that I want to touch on, although it is part of the process the discussion on grief requires a little bit of a more delicate hand. This particular discussion of death, because to be honest, there's a whole bunch of other ones that I'm thinking of doing, because there's facets of it. There's a literal death that we have to acknowledge sometimes too. It's not just the transformative nature. It's not just for birth. It's not just doing things, differently. It's not getting a good new haircut. It can be a real ending that really upends your whole life. And that doesn't mean a physical death, but the termination of a long-term job or the termination of a long-term relationship, moving somewhere entirely new. That's the other part of death. I don't know, I think so many of us are going through it right now. I've mentioned holding on too strongly, and I know what I'm supposed to be letting go of. And I'm supposed to be trusting that whatever is on the other side of this for me is better. But I don't believe it. And I think that's the thing, that this card, it's very Two-Face if you're into Batman. But this card is very much, it's all real. The physical pain, the decay, and the vibrancy are equally real when we look at it. And when it comes to trusting the process, it's very hard when that fear is so visceral. And it's difficult when you don't know what the other thing is supposed to feel like. And I'm speaking from a water moon perspective, so everything feels so strongly and so sharply. But anyway, I think the next part of this whole thing is make peace with what has passed. If moving on to the next thing is difficult, it has to become a process of looking at where we've been and what we've been looking at and what we've been cherishing. And that is the next card that I want to dovetail into this. In a discussion of death, it's interesting that the Nine of Cups comes up. And the Nine of Cups is often the card of wishes fulfilled, of satisfaction and satiety, and feeling like everything has come true. But, you see the mountain of treasures underneath this figure while they're staring at all the beautiful glowing 9 cups. And it's like, what more do you want? What is more important to you now if you have everything that you have and you have everything that you wanted? And it's pretty funny because I say treasures and what they are flowers. They're flowers, but they're also treasure because the natural world is very beautiful. Let's see if I can get that in focus, which is another part of it in terms of wishes fulfilled. Are you really honoring all the things that are really valuable? How are you defining your wealth, and how are you defining the things that matter? When we think of death and we think of moving on and we have the 9 of Cups come up, are you mourning something where you did feel fulfilled? Are you mourning something that was worth all the hard work that you've put into it? Because sometimes what you got wasn't really that great. Sometimes the thing that you're holding on to isn't really what you wanted anyway. Or it is. And you have to ask yourself, am I happy with everything that I got? Am I satisfied? Am I allowed to accept that I got what I wanted? And like the flowers that figure is sitting on, sometimes it just doesn't last. It doesn't make it any less beautiful, but it doesn't last. So we have death and decay and life and how they're all intertwined. We have, is it a setting sun? Is it a setting sun? Is it a rising sun? Is the glare from this camera making it very difficult to really tell? But it's beautiful nonetheless. And it is a transitory moment. You can feel satisfied and you can feel fulfilled, and catching that a golden hour is really special, but it's not something you can hold on to forever. The next card is the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups can lie to you. The Seven of Cups goes back to that illusory concept, the illusory concept of what is really genuine, who is really genuine, what has been promising you false hopes, what has lied to you. That's really the only word that's left is, did someone lie to you? Who lied? What were you promised? And to make this a personal meditation, because it always is, the personal is collective, the collective is personal, the personal is political. I'm having a difficult time detaching from what I wanted and what I believed I could have, and the semblance that it got close to it, that I almost got exactly what I wanted. And it's really hard to think of leaving all of what I have to leave behind, because it was close. It was close to what I really did want, and it was close to what I thought was possible in a way that surprised me, because I didn't think it was possible until it happened. And now I have to say that I'm done. And now I have to say that I don't need it anymore. But more importantly, I think with death, I don't have it anymore anyway. And the lesson is that it's done. And whether or not it was real, whether or not that thing that you wanted fulfilled your wishes, it's not present anymore anyway. All of the promises, all of the ideas that we had about it, all the ideas you had about it, are they real now? Even if they were real in the past, that's great. If they were real in the past, that's wonderful. The fact that they're over now doesn't change. It doesn't change the validity or the sanctity, or, I hate that this is the word that I'm thinking of, but like the deliciousness of what it was. And I don't know, I have a hard time wanting to say deliciousness, because that's, we're talking about decay. But, food expires. There's no better, I don't actually think there is a better example for this conversation than, a really good meal, a really good dish. It's great, and you can't hold on to it forever. The cake you had at your wedding day, you can freeze it for like a year, and then you really should get rid of it. But the memory exists. Witnesses were there, most likely, but it's done. And it was great. But the operative word in that is was. It was great. And it was real. And it's not anymore. And I don't know if I've touched on the concept of acceptance at this point, other than the acceptance of having to move on. And that's a whole other discussion, right? Like, you have to think about whether your hand was forced and whether you were able to make the choice to end things. Yeah, you'll just say, it's a relationship with, I'm thinking strictly of relationships. And it's not just romantic, but it's also platonic, and the friendships that evolve or devolve if you feel like you haven't been supported. The death of friendships, the death of relationships, the death of community. And it's sad. It's sad when it served you so well. And it's sad if it made you feel like you were the better version of yourself than you've ever been. But, it doesn't change the fact that you did grow. And I didn't actually pull this card, but I was trying to figure out how to do this earlier, and I did pull the Lovers, which is funny in the saddest way, because the Lovers is about choice. It's not just about romantic relationships. It is about choice, and it's about choosing someone else or something else and bringing yourself into that. It is about putting yourself in a new situation and meeting someone else or something else, letting that situation transform you. And we can't forget that we are transformed in the end, right? You can't forget that you have growth after putting yourself out there and doing new things. Letting go. And the Lovers, that's a whole other conversation. And it's a whole other conversation. I can move on to the card that I did pull for this, which the next one is the Queen of Wands. I really love this iteration of the Queen of Wands because this cat is like, she's great. I don't know. I'm going to just move in real close and hopefully the glare won't get her. This is my first time doing this kind of thing. So, let's give me some grace. But the Queen of Wands, supportive and creative. If there is something you want to do with all the lessons you've learned, if you want to make something really good and really great and indicative of your personal fire, your personal joie de vivre, the Queen of Wands is the person who will get you there. And you may be the Queen of Wands in this situation. Don't discount that. You can be that person who is creative, and you can be that person who's also facilitating it. So if we bring this back to the concept of death, moving on, and what it takes to do that, that's art. It's art and it's creativity. And I am recording this during Libra season. There's nothing to me that's better than finding something artistic, something beautiful that resonates with you and makes you feel like your feelings have been heard and your feelings have been seen and witnessed. Art does that. I am very biased. I'm a sucker for it. And Libra was my 5th house, so that has something to do with it too. She has the power to help you transform your grief and your agony and your regret into something new. She has the gift of telling you that you can do it. And maybe that's you. Maybe you are the Queen of Wands in this situation. That you have to channel that. Maybe you have to do that for someone else. Maybe in your mourning period, it's your time to help someone else in a different way, to acknowledge their artistic prowess. But more importantly, I think whether or not this phase of moving on and accepting death and accepting that things have changed, the Queen of Wands in her art and her artistry and her ability to support that art gives you a moment to be back in the present. And she gives you the opportunity to get lost in what you're doing. And when you create and when you're working with art, you're in multiple places at once. And that's very confusing. I mean that you are acknowledging what happened in the past. If you were channeling grief or frustration about the thing that's ending, if you were thinking about what transpired and what is now expired, you were working both in the moment and in the past. And if you're making something, you also have a vision of what you kind of want it to be, even if it doesn't turn out that way, even if it ends up being something entirely new. You're working in non-linear, simultaneous timelines, which is really beautiful. It's a reprieve from the moment that you're in. Being able to be in multiple places at once, in a way, gives you a chance to reconcile what has been and what will be. And in many ways, it's a bridge. And it also kind of does remind me of that Seven of Cups again, where you're looking at multiple things at once. And that's not necessarily the traditional meaning of the card, but this is showing us a lot of different possibilities, a lot of different factors, a lot of different facets to life, like a tarot deck. But it shows us different things all at the same time. And that just brings me back to my point of art. Art is something that brings us in multiple places with multiple emotions, in our grief, in our rage, in our passion, in our regret, in our satisfaction, our pleasure, all the things we miss and all the things we wish we had more of and we could find again. Art provides us with that. But yeah, and I think, I wanted to pull one more card for this, and tarot's always very funny. And I'll just, let you see that this is the Ten of Swords. What is done is done. You can't, there's no resurrecting this. There's nothing else you can do other than accept that, everything's done. And despite all of that, despite the fact that this poor figure has 10 swords in their back, let's get in real close. The leaves are sprouting again. The sun is rising and the leaves are sprouting, and there is still life even after all of this death. And in some ways, it's a little sweet, I guess, to have a conversation about the Major Arcana and with a Minor Arcana, because I don't know, there's a comfort in the fact that there's this big moment and something small is what we have to deal with next. It's hard. I think it would be more overwhelming to have another major, to be honest. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me thinking that there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now, and there's a lot of things that are, there's just a lot. There's a lot of stuff. And, maybe it's a good thing that all we can do is move on one footstep at a time, rather than a wholesale shift. But that may not be true for you. Or you may not want that to be true for you. But even if it is, even if it's not, the lesson is, it's just one more thing, right? if you can get through one more thing, you're still moving it along. I don't know if I don't know how this went. I don't know how coherent any of this was. But if you did enjoy it, or at least found it somewhat comforting, as much as a discussion on death can be, if you found any value in this, please let me know. And for the sake of this being a YouTube stream, please like and subscribe. But I hope whatever is happening for you, tomorrow's a little easier.